Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Nerd Mode On, and today we're actually going to be taking a look at the Battlefield 1 winter update, considering that we've actually had a few days to kind of see what improvements have since been made to Battlefield 1 in terms of the gameplay. Now, it is worth noting that today I'm only going to be focusing on the highlighted information, considering that while this patch did improve many different aspects of Battlefield 1, there is some information that is a little bit more important to kind of cover and give you guys information about, considering that it does slightly change Battlefield 1 as a whole. So starting things off, the introduction of ribbons have since been added back into Battlefield 1. Previously, this was a part of one of the most criticized aspects of Battlefield 1, considering that the progression system as a whole has been a lot lackluster in comparison to previous Battlefield titles. This time around, players can expect 20 different ribbons, as well as each ribbon does award players 300 XP. So of course, it's actually a pretty great way to kind of get some additional XP once the round has concluded, and ultimately, if you do have a squad XP boost enabled, of course you will see further improvements to your overall score. Now alongside this, we also get to see a little bit more further development of the progression system alongside this, considering that we do get to see the adoption of elite codices finding their way into Battlefield 1. Now this time around, this does grant you with 8 elite codices that have been awarded for primary weapons. Now of course each of these would be very similar to the mastery dog tag of previous Battlefield titles. Now the requirements of these 8 codices are that you have to obtain 500 additional kills per applicable weapon. This time around, players will be rewarded with 25,000 bonus experience for accomplishing the required tasks. Now a very interesting way to look at this is that this actually is 200,000 free XP for just utilizing weapons that you're most likely going to utilize anyway. Now it is worth noting that if you're actually somebody that has some of the experience boosts still available in your arsenal, then of course this will grant you the ability to accumulate 400,000 experience if you have those enabled while accumulating and finishing the tasks. Now in addition to the class ranks, DICE has increased the max class rank to 50 from the original 10. Once you get to rank 50, you'll be granted with some extra special flair in the kill card to taunt your fallen foes. During this process, players will also be able to collect dog tags as they progress through the ranks. In addition to this, players will also be able to accumulate a battle pack every 10 ranks that they go up. So of course there is a little bit of a reward there. It may not be as great as I was personally expecting, but of course it is a slight way of kind of rewarding you for your hard work and dedication. Now moving right along, we also get to see the Rent a Server program also being slightly altered, considering that over the last few months there really hasn't been a whole lot of information and or improvements done to this particular program. The Rent a Server program now allows admins the ability to kick and or ban players from the server. Admins will be prioritized when attempting to access their server. In addition to this, DICE has added a feature that allows players to vote for the next map. Players will get 2 options to choose from. However, the option has to be enabled on the server for this feature to be available. So when it really comes down to it, the Rent-A-Server program is slowly making its way into Battlefield 1. Of course, this may not be as fast as myself or maybe many others were expecting, and the options are very limited in comparison to what you would expect when it comes down to a DICE-developed game. However, I do imagine that this system will ultimately come to tuition, and I imagine that in the near future we will see the adoption of different features and different options added into the Rent-A-Server program, and this should allow players the option to really customize the server to the benefits that they see fit. Now moving right along, let's talk a little bit about some improvements done to the gameplay, considering that this is actually going to be changing and revolutionizing some of the weapons that you may see on the battlefield, as well as some of the tactics that have been employed since the beginning of Battlefield 1. DICE has increased the time for reselecting invalid spawn points from 3 to 10 seconds to avoid 100% automatic reselection when a squad mate is under fire. DICE has also made alterations to the design of the friends list, so of course this actually caught me a little off guard the first time I saw it, considering that I thought the friends list the first time around was actually pretty decent and pretty easy to understand. Unfortunately, as a result of the friends list being tweaked on the dashboard, of course a new bug has been formed as a due result. Now the specific bug that I'm referring to here is that sometimes players will show in the squad menu on the dashboard but will not join the game when the host of the squad joins a game. As of the moment, the only real fix that I've been able to find is that you have to terminate the squad and then rebuild it from the ground up on the dashboard. This process can be incredibly repetitive, especially if you're somebody that's frequently visiting the dashboard for any number of reasons. Now moving right along, we also notice that the development studio has dipped their toes into the freezing water of weapon balancing. DICE has improved the Subslider 1906 aimed accuracy, they have reduced the recoil, as well as decreased the overall spread of the rifle. In addition to this, the horizontal recoil has been increased by 14.3% to the following weapons: the Automatico Trench, the Hellriegel Factory, the M1909 Storm, the Matson Storm, the MG15 Storm, and last but certainly not least, our beloved Bar Storm. DICE has also slightly increased the damage of the Martini Henry between 30 and 80 meters. The Martini Henry this time around has seen an improvement overall in terms of its damage model, but this does not still negate it from the fact that it's a very controversial weapon, considering that it did previously have a bug that interfered with the damage reduction mechanics that Battlefield has been known for the last few years. A very interesting thing specifically about the Martini Henry is that it's a very risk-reward weapon in comparison to a lot of the other weapons that are available in Battlefield 1. This specific rifle only allows players to fire one round at a time, and of course if they're able to make contact with the player, then of course they're going to do sufficient damage between this 50 meters. However, the hyper-aggressive nature of the weapon almost facilitates this way of quick-scoping into the Battlefield series. So of course it's very interesting to kind of see how this is going to work out. I know a lot of players really respect the Martini Henry in terms of its overall performance and their ability to do well with the weapon. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, I also see a lot of players that are not very excited about a weapon that has the potential to do this kind of damage to individual players due to the fact that Battlefield has never really been about a run-and-gun, quick-scoping type of playstyle. Now alongside this, we also get to see the reduction of the damage of the impact grenade from 80 damage down to 72 damage. This should make the impact nade a little less frequent in terms of players getting scared and immediately throwing it at players. It was kind of a problem in Battlefield 4, as well as we were starting to see it become a problem in Battlefield 1. DICE has also reduced the damage reduction of the Russian 1895 Trench for the Cavalry class to provide it better two-hit kills at range. In addition to this, they've also improved the Cavalry victim experience. You should no longer get killed by Cavalry using a saber from multiple meters away. On top of this, DICE has also increased the threshold for the suppression effect to reduce it from occurring too early. Now, of course, this alteration is actually very good, especially if you're somebody that likes to play a medic or a scout class, considering that those weapons were actually being hampered by suppression far more than some of the fully automatic weapons. And last but certainly not least, let's talk about everybody's favorite utensil on the battlefield, considering that the green smoke is just all over the place at any given moment. DICE has reduced gas duration from 22 seconds down to 15 seconds. Now, I'm sure many of you guys were expecting DICE to really hamper the performance of gas in multiple different areas, and rest assured, I was definitely one of those. I thought they were going to make major improvements in this specific area. But as of the moment, it looks like they're trying to be a little bit passive when it comes down to making alterations to gas, considering that they don't want to go too far and make gas so it's not viable on the battlefield, but at the same expense, it is definitely a big hamper in terms of gameplay to some particular maps. However, a redeeming quality of gas is that DICE is well aware of the community's outroar about this specific utensil on the battlefield, and as a result, they're looking at some options to reduce the effectiveness and the frequency of this specific utensil. One of the options that they've been talking a little bit about is only allocating it to one specific class, and I feel like this would actually be one of the better options, considering that if you were to give it to the medic class, then of course we would see a lot more medics on the battlefield. Personally, I feel like allocating the gas towards the medic class would be one of the better options, considering that we don't want to give it to scouts, considering that normally they're not next to the objective. We definitely would not want to give it to the support players, considering that they would be able to resupply gas canisters, which would just increase the amount of spam that is already readily available in Battlefield 1. And last but not least, we don't want to give it to the assault players, considering that they already have some of the best close and medium range weapons in the game, as well as they have really great anti-tank weapons. Now, in addition to only granting gas to a specific class in Battlefield 1, they could also go the opposite side of the spectrum, and they could just ultimately reduce the amount of gas that all classes are available to have, and this would decrease the spammability of gas by approximately 50%. But anyway guys, that's really all the information I have for you. Hopefully you found something in the video insightful and or entertaining, but of course I will leave the full patch notes in the description of the video if you guys are interested in reading those for yourself and seeing what information I didn't necessarily cover this time around. But until the next episode guys, this has been NMO, and I'm going to be signing out guys. Peace!